Welcome, welcome, everyone. So excited to bring a fantastic person into the group with me today. Please welcome Stephanie Warren, who is a former client of mine and a mom of four. I would love for you to introduce yourself to this community. Stephanie, say a little something about yourself.
So like Honor said, I'm a mother of four, and I um, became a mother at a young age and worked my butt off right from the beginning. So I was a workaholic and a momaholic, and just things were, going along. And so I had two big kids, and then I met my husband and partner, and we eventually had two children together. And that's when I became a stay-at-home mom, which is a huge change for me from working so much to being a stay-at-home mom of now four kids. And so we have just kind of we I don't know, we were doing okay, and then I realized I was really kind of drowning in this. It was something that I was really unfamiliar with.
Yeah. How old are your little ones now?
So my littlest just turned two last week, and my other is 4.5. Will be turning five soon.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah,
Yeah, they're getting
so
big. So we met in the middle of the pandemic, and
right.
what we're going to be here sharing with all of you today is a glimpse at where Stephanie was before she reached out for help to me, and we had a clarity call together and realized Stephanie would be a really great fit for what we do in Awakened Motherhood, and I realized I could help her. So we're gonna share where she was before, and then we're gonna look at where she is now, and the outcome for these conversations, as always, is to one, give Stephanie an opportunity to really express what is um, what is her reality now, and stand in that and claim that, and to be able to really share that with you is such a beautiful manifestation and celebration of what she's created. And there's also another outcome here of getting to just let that be a blessing to any of you who need that encouragement or inspiration, so that you can just let yourself hear her celebrations and her where she was and where she is now, and let that wash over you. Let yourself really imagine that this too is possible for you. If you've been wondering how in the world is there any way to shift your reality, that you've read the books, you've gone to therapy, you've tried all the things, and you figure there's nothing that can really help you, just hear Stephanie's story today with an open mind. I encourage you to really listen with your open heart, and hear what she was able to create with a lot of commitment and grit, and some of the right tools. So, Stephanie, just let's start by going into, for a few minutes, what your life was like when you reached out to me. And I know it's no fun to do this part, so I really appreciate you for sharing this with the moms. So, just give us a glimpse of your life before.
So quickly, like I said, I was drowning in motherhood, and I had two teenagers that were raised by daycares and themselves, left to themselves a lot, because I was a single mom who worked my butt off, and was working 60 or 70 hours a week. And so they just weren't parented as well as they could have been. And so there was a lot of lack of boundaries and talk back, things like that,
Mhm.
and communication struggles. With my little kids, um, there was just no boundaries. There was no, I would try to discipline, but I was always yelling, always frustrated,
Mhm.
just just feeling like I couldn't get through to them. And um, I just thought, these kids are going to be horrible kids if I can't get this under control. So I was just always trying to control things. Struggling in relationship with my husband. Um, he he was struggling with his own demons and his own past history of alcoholism, and just family history of problems. And I felt like, I've chosen this person that to have this family with, but I don't even know him anymore. I don't
Mhm.
know why I chose this person.
Yeah.
And it just broke my heart, because I felt such a spiritual connection to him. initially for the first many years. And so I just started to question, like, what's wrong with me? What did I choose? What did I was wrong with all my choices? And having been a survivor of abuse myself as a child, I just felt like I could never get beyond any of that. I was like, I am this victim. I am, this person that is a survivor and a soldier, but not anything more. And I can't grow past this. So that's why I found your ad on Facebook, and it just said, "Are you having problems with these?" And I was like, "Yes, all of those.
Mhm.
Overwhelm, exhaustion, anger, resentment, anything that you could possibly think of." I was like, "Yeah, I feel every single one of those every single day, and I am drowning in all of it." So,
I remember something so clearly from our first conversation. I hope it's okay for me to say this because it's
yeah,
your we've laughed about this since. You shared in our initial conversation, like, you shared that I'm drowning, I'm totally drowning, and my husband is living his dream life. And
his best life.
I still giggle about this. That he's living his best life. That's what you said. He is living, and so many people here, I'm sure, will resonate with this. When you shared that, I remember we shared a laugh when you first said that, and I said, "Know exactly what you're talking about." In his mind, everything is great. Everything is
Yeah,
exactly as he wishes it was. We know that isn't really true, that there was a lot of hurting underneath that, and
sure.
we were able to uncover it and bring so much healing to that together, but the way it looked on the surface was, he's good. He waltzes in after work. He's like, "Great, what are we having for dinner? I just get to play with the kids, and then I get to just veg out after they go to bed," or whatever. And you
Yep,
said, "Because I'm doing it all. I'm
yeah,
doing everything. He's living his best life. Like, I'm holding everything." And so I'm so
right.
mad about that. And and a lot of women, I think, feel and do not know it's changeable. It's figure outable. That
Yeah.
it
No, it's just, I'm going to carry this backpack of burden of a mother, wife, XYZ, and
and
nothing
it's
can change
non-negotiable.
because those are my roles.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the role, and these are the only rules I know how to live by, and these are the rules that my partner thinks we need to live by. So therefore, we are doomed and damned in this paradigm forever and ever until I either leave him because I'm so angry and we get divorced, or the kids leave for college, and then we can just be done with this whole shenanigans, right? And that's so
Right.
sad, so sad. Say a little bit about what it was like for you to live in that place every day, same story, Groundhog Day, of feeling that level of depletion and just irritability with your kids.
Yeah. It was depressing and kind of gross, like just such a gross vibe to it.
Yeah.
I I wasn't showering like but once a week because I
Mm,
just wouldn't even ask, "Hey, can you help me with this so I can go take a shower?" It was
mm,
like, "Well, I've just got to do this." And so I just didn't get a shower today.
mhm,
Just the simplest, like, basic life needs, I was not performing, and I was not getting what I needed out of it. I,
mhm,
wasn't being told I love you. It wasn't being held. I wasn't, um, feeling anything. I was numbed out completely. And
yeah,
so if kids got hurt or if somebody was sad, I was just so over it that I was just like, "Yeah, I'm really sorry about that." And just couldn't
mhm,
respond with that compassion and empathy that I truly have and live by. I had nothing in my cup to give to anyone else. And and so I was like, I have nothing to give you. I'm sorry, and would just zone out and veg out as much as possible. And
mhm,
nothing was getting done.
mhm,
Nothing was
yeah.
getting done.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You mentioned perfectionism. We've talked about this quite a bit as your Achilles heel, and it often is for people. Their Achilles heel. Perfectionism is that um, drive to get stuff done,
Right.
to be a capable person in the world. And but you notice that when you had your young ones and things had shifted in your home life, that perfectionism was like an abundance block. It was getting in your way of doing anything you
Huge.
wanted to do. Can you
Right.
talk about that a little bit? Because I think there's so much wisdom in that.
Yeah. So, and that it has been my probably one of my biggest blocks in moving forward in my life, was that I had this vision of how things should be, or I was told how things should be. And it wasn't going that way.
Mhm.
And so it wasn't worth living. Like everybody else on Facebook, everybody else on social media had this, this dream life, this picture perfect house, this great car, the husband that comes home every night, plays with the kids, and then takes days off to go on family vacations. And all these things that I couldn't stand up to that perfection that I was seeing everywhere else, movies, everywhere else. And therefore, my life wasn't abundant. My life wasn't worth living for, or living the best of.
Mm.
I was still doing it. I was still getting up every day. I was still getting out of bed, but I
Mm.
wasn't enjoying it. I wasn't seeing the happiness that everybody else seems to be seeing.
Yes.
And that just felt really heavy. Um, and I just, I couldn't meet that. So it was definitely discouraging just for everything, every little milestone.
Yeah, when you can't meet that level of expectation, then kind of why try?
That,
Or, and so then the gap grows wider and wider between who you are, who you really truly are, and who you're being every day. And
right,
and that's the despair that you were talking about and the hopelessness that you were talking about. Thanks for sharing that. Will you share, now just what had you tried? Like, what were some things that you had done to break out of this or shake yourself awake or
right. So I had been in therapy off and on since I was like 10, 11, and it was always focused on what's wrong with me? Why can't I overcome this victimhood? Why can't I overcome this way of thinking? What's wrong with everybody else around me? And why am I so angry with them? And just such a cyclical repeat cycle. I would just constantly be telling my story of abuse, or telling my story of how my husband's horrible or my kids are horrible, but nothing was moving.
Mhm.
I tried yoga and just found that my body just did not want to give anything to that.
Mm.
And my mind couldn't
Slow down.
focus on any
Mhm.
of it. Yeah, I would be like, I'm not doing this right. I can't keep up. Um, I had tried meditation and couldn't seem to slow it down, same thing. And I just
Mhm.
wasn't quite sure how to make any of it work for me, when I know that there's people that have had plenty of therapy or had plenty of,
Yeah.
meditation time, and they're just like, oh, my life's wonderful. How did that
Mhm.
apply to me? And I was really frustrated with that. So,
Yeah, I love that. I love the way you just said that. You can see it happening and you can see it working for other people, but why isn't it working for me? And you are putting in a lot of time, energy, money, a lot of that stuff to
right,
find some kind of peace, which a lot of people out there are. You aren't somebody who was sitting around twiddling your thumbs. You had done some deep inner work before. And that inner work had kind of only resulted in awareness of your processes, right?
right.
Insight into like why you're stuck and what's going on, and just to kind of validate for others who are on a similar um, path of frustration. They're doing inner work, they're doing EMDR, they're doing therapy, they are taking the supplements, they're going to the naturopath, they're doing all those things, they're working with the oils, they're trying
Acupuncture,
meditation, they're doing acupuncture, right? All things we've all done them all.
right,
And part of the piece that's so important here to recognize is that doesn't equal outcomes shifting. It doesn't equal reality shifting. That's a different body of work.
yeah.
And when you really dug into and sunk your teeth into that this body of work that is that we did do together in Awakened Motherhood, of upgrading your programs and shifting your mindset and writing new programs and rebuilding that engine, the emotional engine under the hood. Share with us like what has shifted as a result of that work and that rewiring process. Tell us about that.
So much has shifted. Like everything has been more focused. I was never able to focus. I was always just like, I got to work on this and this. And now it's like, okay, I have a clear plan for my day. I have a clear plan of how I want to feel. I want to
So much.
feel this way. I want things to go this way. And this is what needs to be done to be successful for my day, or my week or my month. And so having more of a clear plan for my outcome has been um, the biggest game changer. And so things have shifted automatically. I thought, my husband's going to always be this alcoholic monster. He was never like super abusive or, physical, anything like that, but just not somebody I wanted to be around, not somebody that I wanted to even look at a lot of the times, because he was just Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of thing. And I just didn't know who he was. And I thought that was his fault and his problem, and he's not going to change, and I can't force that change. But what has shifted is my changing on my focus. I focus inward. I focus on what I want to accomplish. And he sees that and has shifted on his own, seeing that focus, seeing that
So
drive,
good.
working on my own body, working on my own mental health. He's like, whoa, that's all it takes. Like, you made it look like it was nothing. I'm like, no, it's hard work, but it's so worth it. And I feel that weight, that backpack that I was carrying is, way, way relieved. And things are hard. Things get hard. We just had a little bump in the road the other day. My old self would have been,
Mhm.
how do we fix this? And oh my God, and the finances and the,
Mhm.
how am I going to make this work?
Mhm.
And now it's just like, we're supported with all of that. It happened for a reason, whatever it was. Maybe
Yeah.
it was a lesson to teach you to slow down and pay attention. Maybe it was a lesson for, us to be prepared for financial issues, which through Awakened Motherhood, I've really focused on those things. Like, how am I going to be prepared for the future? Where I was kind of just living day to day and surviving, I've started to prepare for that future. So we had money set aside to cover that bump and
Yay.
get back on the road, and it just wasn't the end of the world. Um, with my kids, I'm able to just communicate, this is what I need from you today. I need
Mhm.
this kind of attitude. I need this kind of uh, progress, and these are the chores that need to be done, whatever it is. And they're just like, well, okay, then. I mean, we don't really have a choice, do we?
Yes,
And
and yes,
it
it
just used to
works.
be such a thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's not easy, but and what like, for everyone who's listening and who listens to this, down the road, what Stephanie's talking about is an energy she's embodying. Of, I am gonna lead this family. I'm gonna hold this energy. I'm gonna take up this much space. I'm gonna say how it's gonna go for us. And you're all autonomous beings who have your own weight to pull here, but this is how I'm gonna steer the ship. And so I'm gonna let you guys know what I need from you, and this is how it's gonna go today.
absolutely.
And as you said, like, things break, things, crap happens, but you're focused no matter what. You're not chasing all these things that are going on like most moms are. You're dialed in and you're focused and you're calm. And that is such a massive ripple effect, as you described, to your husband, to your kids. Everybody feels that. So what are some of the manifestations, like concrete? You can touch them, you can see them, you can taste them. That you've talked a lot about, like, how you feel really differently, and you're parenting differently, and you're holding your relationship differently. One, this is not a weight loss program, but I know that you have, like, massively shed the pounds.
Huge.
So
Like,
let's just, like, celebrate that. What's happened there?
yeah. Yeah. I had set a goal mid Awakened Motherhood that I was just going to do way more self-care, no matter what it was, whether it was getting my hair cut more frequently, getting my nails done, whatever I felt was comfortable to me or like supported
Yes.
my big goal. And I knew that I'd been carrying around so much excess weight to buffer off all the hurt and the pain,
Mhm.
whatever it was. I was like, I can't live with this anymore. I'm not going to live with this anymore. I'm not going to live this way. I'm not going to feed my face cupcakes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner because
Yeah.
I can't fix my problems, or, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I just decided to like live with more intention about it. And I'm going to intentionally feed my body with blessed food
Yeah.
and nutrition that my body and my mind need. And it's made such a huge difference. And I've ended up losing 35 pounds. So, so far.
So good. That's even more than the last time I heard you say that. That's so good. Oh my
It just
God, it's
keeps
so good.
going.
And it's not about weight loss. Everybody who's on the, who's on a spiritual path understands it's not about weight loss. This is about self-love. This is about self-compassion. It's about now that you're focused and you do know how to meet your needs, you can see
That.
this is a core need. And so this is going to support my clear thinking, and this is going to support my family being a joyful place,
Yeah.
people I want to hang out with, then I'm absolutely going to do it
Yeah.
because there's nothing in the way of
Yeah.
that.
I just
And
wanted to spend more time in nature and go hiking with my kids.
yeah,
And I was miserable doing it. Sorry, my cat keeps
I
pushing
see.
camera.
I see your cat is having a way with this. And share about your relationship, please. Anything that you would wish to share about how it is now. It's such a miracle story. You don't have to go into the details, but just to describe how it feels now to be with your partner.
You know, every day is a new day. Every day is a chance to start fresh with him. There are definitely days where we are frustrated and angry and, how dare you stop? How dare you, this? But the old me would have been in wallowing about it for days and weeks and just letting it affect everything about my life. And now it's just me setting a boundary or he setting a boundary. We listen to each other, we work through things, and we're making that progress of not only communication but just acceptance of where we're at every day. We're each changing astronomically every day, and we accept that we're working on that, and that spiritual deep connection that I had once felt is certainly coming back to, yeah, my soul chose him for a reason, and he is here to meet my needs, and I am here for him. And it's just such a different perspective than it was, a year ago,
Mhm.
where I was just like, what am I even doing with this guy? Even though we've
Yeah.
been together for 20 years.
And
So,
and the miracle is the shift. There are a couple miracles here. One of the first and biggest pieces of this is your work you did to get solid, stable, safe in your body, clear, and that's a healing of like past trauma, boundary crossings, feeling not safe in the world, feeling like powerless to change it. All these things, we plug those holes. So you now know how to create that sense of stability every day for yourself. What happens then in that energetic connection with a partner is that when he's operating in survival mode and you're operating in survival mode and you get solid, then suddenly he's over here now realizing that there's another option, realizing that he too can find stability within himself, learning from you, watching you in your wisdom now, really living from your intuitive wisdom and learning how to create that for himself. And the beauty of that is you shifted first into like stability, and then your perception around what's possible with him really opened up. It
yeah,
really opened up, and I love that it wasn't like you woke up one day in love with him again because he's so great. You got into a place of so much love for yourself, and you
yeah,
got into a place of so much appreciation and stability for your life, and then you looked at him and you were like, "I remember who that is. I remember who he is to me." It's so joyful. It's such a joy for me to see you in this place of remembering that connection to him and why you're with him, and to see him like smelling the coffee, really waking up and coming around to this is a woman I want to work for. This is a woman
yeah,
I want to get my stuff together to stay with because
right.
she isn't going to tolerate me doing those
Acting
things
like
before that she
bull.
was. She's awake now. Yeah, exactly. I just
Yeah, it was like, it definitely kind of the blinders came off, and he was like, oh, it's not okay to live this way. And I was
yes,
like, no,
yes,
no, not ever again. We will
yes.
let all of this die and we will move forward from here. So, so it's good
So
to
good.
see him getting it. I mean,
Yeah.
when you struggle with addiction, it's not just like, oh, I'm going to just shut that off. but you can see that he's actively making better choices
Mhm.
and working towards it. You know,
Mhm.
how can I heal this in myself and my generational trauma myself? So
Yeah, and just like addiction, just like trauma, just like, changing any brain pattern, from early life that doesn't serve us, it does take commitment, consistency, dedication, hard work, and courage. Those are all the ingredients, and there's no shortcut, is there? This is just what it takes.
just have to
It's
keep coming back to it
You
every
just have
single
to
day.
keep exactly. It's an everyday thing, and so, for those of you listening thinking like, "I wish I know what those everyday steps were," or, "I would be willing to do the work if I just knew what it was," that's where Stephanie was. She was in a place where she had a lot of resources, a lot of ideas. She had been infused with a lot of different, sort of methods and
Spiritualities,
and
even.
spiritualities and approaches. There was no shortage of that for her. And yet she didn't have the process, the step-by-step learning, the accountability, the expertise. You got to have it all together in one place if you want to make that big of a leap and a shift. And some people listening will be like, "No, I'm not up for that work." But other people I know are so hungry for wanting the changes that you've created in your life. So, if you could just say any sort of last words, any last thoughts um about your experience in retrospect, just reflecting on, are you glad that you said yes to yourself, and or um any kind of reflections you have just to share with people who are sort of in it up to their eyeballs right now, what would you say?
Um, I have to say that as a part of my daily, like, coming back to this, work every single day, I thank myself. Thank you for thinking of you that one time
Yeah.
to get things rolling. Like, thank you so much for coming to you and saying, I really need help for myself this time and really need to work towards something other than just what's wrong with me.
Yeah.
And I just I think that it was the ultimate show of self-care that I didn't even know I
Yeah.
needed
Yeah.
at that time, that
Mm.
it absolutely has transformed my entire life, my outlook, my expectations for my future, um, my
Yeah.
expectations for daily life, that are reasonable and doable every single day. Like, I didn't have that. I didn't have an expectation for the day. I didn't have an expectation for anyone other than them
Yeah.
being who they want to be and me putting up with it and saying yes to it every single day.
Yeah, wow.
And now I just can say, I don't accept any of that. And I don't want to be a part of drama or addiction to drama, which was my problem. I
Yes.
100% was addicted to the victimhood and the drama of all of it,
Mm.
because that's all I ever knew.
Yeah.
And I'm just
Yeah.
ready to, move forward. And I am just grateful to myself
Yay.
for taking that step and making myself, because I had gone to therapy and I'd spent a ton of money on therapy and it just
Mm.
wasn't for me,
Mhm.
because it wasn't helpful. And this is the best investment I've ever made
Mhm.
for anything, because I can continue to invest way further beyond just
Yeah.
12-week session.
I'm so glad you did. I'm so glad you did, and you have opened your heart so beautifully, and that's what I see in you. What we've seen in you and named in you, just that opening. It's like there's a blossoming into more of who you are. And that brainwashing from early childhood or whenever it was that says like, something wrong with me and I can't really achieve my dreams and I can only have so much, and that's asking too much to be happy and fulfilled and seen and understood and loved. And now you just can, it's like you've ripped that, you've shredded that. Now you've ripped that sort of layer away, and now you can see every day I can create what I want to create every day. And that means for the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years I get to create my reality, my relationships, and my level of joy and fulfillment. And you have that knowing how. And the better it gets, the better it gets. So
Yeah.
it's fun to watch that too unfold.
Yes.
Yeah, just big, big congratulations to you. And I wanted to invite anyone here to leave comments, questions, share with us how, if it was helpful for you to hear this conversation, what stirred in you. Please do leave comments. Give Stephanie some hearts and some likes when you watch to appreciate her for standing in her the truth of who she is and her story, and just sharing those blessings with all of you. I'm so grateful you're here
Thank you so
and
much.
have loved having this conversation with you. So, um, yes, tell her hi, leave us some comments, ask her what you want to know, and thanks everybody for joining us today. It's been such a great conversation. Thank you, Stephanie, for joining.
Thanks, Honor.